right. Amazing. Hello. How are you all? Paige, I'm gonna pin you so that everybody can see
And
your
me.
beautiful face. And now I don't know how to
Buckner.
pin myself. Oh, here we go. All right. Now we're cooking. Welcome everybody. I am Leslie Feinzaig. I'm the founder and general partner at Graham and Walker. We are an early stage venture fund rooted in a powerful founder community. You may know us as the Female Founders Alliance. We back what I call pre-consensus founders and ideas that break the mold. Anybody that does not fit the Silicon Valley type, maybe don't have like direct inroads into those very close circles. And for the past few years, I've been interviewing slash just having really fun conversations with people that I admire, that I think have something interesting to say. And I am so excited to finally get my friend Paige Hendrix Buckner on my what everybody calls my podcast, but is not actually a podcast, just a live Zoom. You know Paige as the CEO of Always. She's going to tell us a lot more about this. The powerful Silicon Valley nonprofit dedicated to accelerating the success of women and non-binary founders. I think that we have the former CEO of Always in the call. I think Pam is here. Is she here? I think she's here. Um, Always is in amazing hands with Miss Page, and her path into venture is anything but traditional. She started her career, I love this, as a teacher for Teach for America, and honestly, like hurting that VCs and LPs is cannot be all that different from doing that. Served as a policy director for her county, founded her own company, and helped scale Founder Gym. If you guys remember Founder Gym, it was the largest program training underrepresented founders to raise venture capital. She's been featured all across all the fancy press, all the awards, every stage, and she graces us today. And also, fun fact, Paige is the absolute best number one hype woman that I know. And I'm so excited to finally get to do this fireside with you, Paige. How are you today? Oh, you're on mute. Oh my gosh. Why are you on mute?
There we go.
There you
Probably
are.
because I
Sorry
muted
about that.
myself to protect you from my coughing. I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad that we telepathically synced up. We matched our hair, our vibes, and our outfit together. We are
Haircuts.
ready. Our
Although you have like
haircuts.
cute little like band thing going on, like a side band.
Thanks. 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 My niece did my hair yesterday, so we're on
It's
day 2 of like good hair.
it's
Thanks.
real
Yeah.
beautiful. It looks good.
Thanks.
Also,
Yeah.
good lipstick working for you.
For you,
Yeah.
for you, for you, for you. I'm here for you. I put it on just before, so it was the freshest of fresh. So, but
I
I'm
have trouble
so
putting on
hyped to,
lipstick like sitting in my
yeah,
basement alone on like a Wednesday. Like,
that sounds joyful, actually. That sounds wonderful. I'm so happy to be with you. And Leslie, I think I said this to you last time I saw you, which was June 22nd, if I'm right about that date, that you have been such an inspiration for me for such a long time since back in my founder gym days. And so I'm really honored that I get to talk to you, and it's been fun following your journey, but then also the content that you've been sharing with the world and your perspective. So ready for all of it. Let's do it.
let's do it. Thank you. That really means a lot to me.
My God,
And
yeah.
I mean, I would say in return that getting to know you the past, particularly like the past 12, 18 months, has just been complete joy. I
I
mean, I
feel the same
think
way
the
about
world
you.
needs to get to know you better. So why don't we start with like, tell us
Let's do it.
your story. How did you get to Always? And then
Yeah.
I also want to hear the Always story because I don't know that a lot of people get to hear it from the CEO.
Yeah. Well, first, I'll say my journey has been at the intersection of, I would say, public policy, entrepreneurship, and education. And I continue on that journey today, even in this role as CEO. I feel like my job is to still be a teacher, and that is my happy place. I love being an educator. So I started my career, I went to school thinking I was going to be a lawyer. Took the LSAT, was not curious enough about the LSAT to get better at it. And so I settled with my poor score. And I would say that at the same time that I was reconsidering that career, I had just entered a classroom as a fourth grade teacher, and it changed my life. I mean, seeing kids learn is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Seeing anyone learn, but especially seeing kids learn because there's this magic that they have when they're learning something for the first time. And when you're teaching a kid how to read, or you're teaching a kid about Nevada history for the first time, and you get to do it in a really fun, ridiculous way. It's just such a gift. And what I loved about being a teacher is that my students, well, I thought I took myself very seriously, did not take me seriously at all. And that is a tremendous gift, to not be taken seriously. And I think I still carry that with me, that kind of like silliness, that jovialness. And my kids still keep me anchored in that. So I did that. I also worked on anti-human trafficking issues when I was in Nevada. I helped start a chapter of an organization that worked on helping people understand what trafficking looked like in Las Vegas and the Nevada region. So that was really interesting as well. And I did that actually with another teacher. And so in that experience, I was both teaching and then also building outside of teaching at the same time. And then while I was in the middle of that, I met my incredible husband and I moved out to Portland, Oregon, where I still am today. And that began a new leg of the journey for me, where I got a chance to test out working in a nonprofit, where I worked at the Urban League. I worked for an elected official. I got into my first incubator and started my startup. And that really began my journey in like the founder world. And so I'll pause there for a second. One to cough, but then also to hear what you think.
Falling down the rabbit hole
Yes.
of like I feel like that was, I mean, I half jokingly call it the villain origin story, but like my first attempt at raising capital for myself was like the moment where I was like, wait, what? Like how
Yeah.
what just happened? I went from being the hot hire to like the cute mommy. It's like such a gaslit experience.
It's so hard to rate. I've been thinking about this quite a bit. I'm getting ready to start a Girl Scout troop for my daughter, which I'm super hyped
Um,
about. And I have a good friend who's already done it. And so I'm learning from her. And she's like, you need somebody who really is about that cookie game, like really understands selling cookies
yes.
because it is a very specific skill. And I realized as a Girl Scout, I learned about selling cookies as a kid and that like sales cycle and trying to figure out like how to pitch people and get them to buy the cookies, especially when there are other troops in town, is real. And so I feel like as early as you can learn that skill to fundraise or
I
sell
know.
something, the better you're going to be.
I was like, I was both a Girl Scout and on the board of Girl Scouts. And so
Yeah. Yeah. This is why we love
and
each
I
other.
stopped doing that when I realized that I did not even have time to take my own kid to Girl Scouts and therefore and
You
so
have
that's
other
that.
things to
Anyway,
do.
back to you.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yes.
So tell us about All Race. How did it
Yeah.
start? Where, how did it start? What do you do? What are you here?
Yes. So already started when a group of women in venture and tech got together in 2017 over dinners and started to realize that they were sharing some of the same experiences when it came to harassment in the workplace, when it came to pay equity issues, and they wanted to do something about it. So that is a very high level. Most of the experiences that I've heard from people who know Allraise started with the Forbes cover in 2018. So this was, if you don't know, the Midas list is a list of the top 100 investors in the world based on cash returns. And the cover that year was this group of women who helped start Allraise. And I think what I've heard from so many people is seeing that cover really helped them feel seen for the first time because they were like, oh, yeah, I've had these issues too. And there is a place for me to channel that energy. And so essentially what All Raise was in the beginning was a bunch of groups getting together who were building these initiatives to help people negotiate for better compensation, meet with investors. They can increase the number of investors on their cap table and reduce the amount of time it took them to go out and find investors because we know how hard it is a woman to go do that. Help women raise capital from LPs. Another initiative was founders actually asking VC firms, do you have a woman partner at your firm? And I don't want to work with you if you don't. And so they explored a bunch of different ways to change behavior and rewire the industry from the inside. And where All Raise has evolved since then, and I stepped into the seat in 2023, is that we've gone from helping investors, founders, and operators to focusing specifically on women and non-binary venture capitalists. So what that means is that we are trying to help increase the number of women in non-binary venture capitalists who are specifically in a decision making seat. And then number two, what we've really started to embark on over these next 3 years is growing their power and influence. So the amount of capital that they control, their power on the IC, the investment committee, getting onto the hottest cap tables, getting some of the best board seats, building some of the best companies in the world. So that's where we have been and where we are today. And we're an organization that is focused on community, data, and lore. So what that means is that we're a place where we want people to be relational and transactional. We want incredible investors like you, Leslie, to come here and be able to find people to share deal flow with, co-invest with, connect to the best LPs as you're raising your fund. We want to collect data about who's out there in the ecosystem so we can tell that story. And I know we'll dig into data here in a little bit. And then last but not least is change the lore. Who are we pattern matching against in the industry, and how do we diversify that pantheon of success, whether it's through social media or through top media publications or our own media platform that we're building.
So this might come off as a self-serving question because I am a VC, but
Let's go.
but I also like I'm kind of I'm not a career VC, right? Like I didn't break off from a fund. I was an operator turned founder turned community leader, and then
Yes.
out of my own community of founders, I decided to turn into an investor. And so I feel like I've seen all of those, and I'm also an LP, a very small LP in a couple of funds. So I've
Love
seen
that.
all of those lenses together. Um,
Yes.
and I think it's really interesting and it doesn't get told enough. Like, what prompted that focus for Allrace to go from like trying to basically serve all of those different stakeholders into focusing on the VC? Like, why is that important?
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the process first that helped us get there, just so that everybody knows. So when I first stepped into the role, we had an incredible amount of work that we'd already done. And again, if Pam's here already, I don't know if she is, but I just want to shout out Pam
Yes.
and our earliest team members. Hi, Pam. Love you. You're the best. Um,
Pam is
but
on board.
she's the best. Pam Costco, rock star human.
I told you guys
So
this is the best hype woman I know.
listen, we're hyping all the people. I see you, Maya and Jessica and Jacqueline. I will also hype you. Just give me your stats, okay? So what I think it's important to note is that we had done a lot of incredible work and learned so much in the early days with our founding board members and volunteers and a leader like Pam at the helm. What was interesting is that we were in this moment where the world had grown and changed quite a bit when I stepped in 2023. And we were starting to see the early backlash against DEI. And I would say I felt it really in 2022 with Roe v. Wade. And I started to wonder, what does that look like for our world and how does that affect our work? And if we are to make the biggest impact in this moment, what should we be doing? So that prompted in 2023 a strategy tour. We went out and talked to folks and actually I talked to you, Leslie, virtually, but we talked to folks in 7 cities in 6 weeks. And the job to be done there was to figure out, okay, so what has always been to you? Where are the gaps? And it was great because we got a lot of really great stories, but we also got a lot of tough feedback about opportunities for us to really focus. And so that feedback in combination with some really great data helped us realize that if you want to change who gets checks on the founder side, you have to change who's writing checks on the VC side of the table. And Allraise's network was made up of lots of great VCs from the big firms to small firms, early stage, growth stage. So we had a lot of diversity and representation. We also had great male allyship from those firms as well. And so as I looked at the universe and having
Wow.
been a founder, yeah, and serving founders, like you have to focus. You can't do everything for everybody. And so that data, along with the data that says that women are more likely to invest in women, and that's from our friends at Kaufman, we realized we had an opportunity to really narrow the aperture to deepen the impact. So that's the how and the why we got there.
You know, from my own journey, again, from like operator to founder to raising
Yes,
fund. And most VCs don't have to raise funds, right? Like most VCs are sort of working for somebody
that's
else,
right.
well, people that do capital formation that raise the fund. But one of the things that I have learned is like when I was a founder, is like VCs, it's all the power is in their hands, and like this is all the VC's fault. And there is a lot of that. I mean, I'm not, not to give the industry a pass, but but from where you're sitting, actually, you are clued into the fact that VCs are not the originators of capital. LPs are. And so tell us about,
Yes.
I feel like I was thinking of you today and I was like, you have both kind of like a front row seat in like all the conversations
Uh-huh.
like with me and like with all the other VCs, but also you get a bird's eye view. Um,
Yes.
so you're like a bumblebee. You're like zooming in and like
I
zooming
love that.
out. So give us the real state of play. Like what are women VCs facing today? And let's talk separately about the
Yeah.
bigger firms, right? Like the ones that
Yes.
employ a lot of career VCs and then emerging managers like myself, which I honestly have a lot of opinions about, but
I
you
was
are the
going to
speaker
say,
today, so I'm just gonna like sit here and like zen out.
weave them in. Weave them in. I want you to weave them in. I I want to start with this first is I think I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey when it comes to the data. And what I want us to reflect on is that we are not where we want to be. And we have a long way to go, but we've made progress. And when I say we, I don't mean just all raise, because this isn't just an all raise problem. This is an industry issue. And we also know that if you really want to unlock the kind of value that we know VC firms and startups are capable of, you have to have more diversity at the decision making table. That is not new data. That's really old data. It's actually kind of boring at this point. And so we just need to continue to remind people about that. So, with all of that said, I want to start out with where we are state of play with how many women are in the industry. And specifically, what we've discovered is that 18% of people in partner plus roles at US based VC firms are women. And the reason I want to be very clear about the term partner plus is that's partners, managing directors, general partners. And previously, in our early days, we used to say decision makers. But what we've realized through our research is that decision making is actually really nuanced depending upon the firm that you're in. And can you get your deals done on the IC? Do you have a vote on the IC? Like, how do you, how much capital can you actually deploy, right? Can you raise capital, right? Like Leslie and you were just highlighting earlier. And so that has led us in this path to ask ourselves, in a world in which we've doubled the percentage of women in these partner plus roles, and we're tracking non-binary people stepping into these roles as well, what does it mean to move forward? And what we realized is last year we went on another strategy tour, surprise everybody. We went out and talked to a bunch of people again, is that just doubling that number again or getting to parity doesn't matter, because your title doesn't matter if you don't have power and influence. So that's the one thing that I want to leave people with. I feel like, by the way, every time I say that, and Leslie, I feel like I said this at Summit, and I felt everybody sigh in the
I mean,
room, like
the
everybody knew it.
experience of it. And again, I have
Yeah.
my own firm, so I have 100% decision-making power, but then I have to go and raise
Yes.
capital from LPs that may or may not go,
Yes.
micro funds. But I think that what most folks may not know unless you are kind of in the bigger firm, is that title inflation is extremely real. So like
Yes.
what is inflation? Is it happening a
Yes.
lot? Why does it happen?
Yeah. So I first started hearing about title inflation back during that first strategy tour in 2023 as a tool for terms to or for firms to get more shots on goal. So if everybody has the term partner, then I can take more meetings with founders because I look like a decision maker. And I believe, Leslie, this came out of a tweet. Um, I want to say it was a tweet that was like, hey, you cannot, don't meet with associates and analysts. That was the advice. Don't meet with associates and analysts. You want to meet with a partner
And I think
because they actually have power.
truism, right? Or like it's a thing that founders say to each other, which by the way, I think it's horrible advice, but yes, this is something that gets kind of, it's like lore. I don't know how it spreads, but this is something that gets told to founders.
Yes. And I think for women, it's even more challenging, right? So while title inflation happened across the entire industry, and
So
we have heard
what you're
about,
saying is these firms are, in order to have more people that can meet with founders,
yes,
they are
yes,
giving the title without giving them the
yes.
power.
That's exactly right. And power looks different inside of firms. So, for example, last year, and I also want to position this as I've been thinking about this from an HR perspective, right? Like, okay, so I can't give everybody a GP title because of the economics of my fund, but I could break you up into one of four different kinds of partner, from like the most junior partner to the most senior partner. Everybody sees partner on the outside, but there's actually four layers to being a partner. And that depends upon the firm that you're in. So it's a combination of, I want to get my firm and the people who work at my firm in front of more founders, but then also like, how do you create this like talent retention tool to help people grow within a firm, even though maybe you can't give them that GP role. So anyway, I want to call out, there's a bunch of interesting nuances here that we haven't even fully figured out yet. But the reality, the simple explanation, I think, is that yes, title inflation is real. It makes it hard to understand what power and influence looks like. And it has caused us to start to ask questions about what does it mean to be a partner in a firm? And how do you know you're powerful and influential enough? And then also, how do we help you grow your power and influence inside of a firm? So let me pause there. Leslie, how does that land with you?
No, this is great. I have a follow-up question for you. So like
Go.
if in the face of growing title inflation, and by the way,
Yeah.
like I spent a bunch of my career in like large companies. So like I spent time at Microsoft.
Yes.
My first job at a school was at Procter and Gamble. So talk about like massive, massive 100,000.
Massive. Yeah.
Um, big VC has a lot of employees, right? And so it almost
Yes.
like Microsoft has like 17 different levels that
Yes.
you have. Like when you
Yes.
come in at entry level, it's like level 58 or something like that, and you can go all the way to
Yes.
72. So it's kind of the same thing. Like this is like a people
Yeah.
motivation. So have you been able to track and like can you tell us anything about the sort of decision makers? Like what percentage of decision makers, like people who can deploy capital, is that growing? Is that like stale? What does that look like?
Don't have that data yet. That is actually the work that we're doing right now. Here are some things that I can tell you that are interesting. Number one, when we started to ask what are some metrics around power and influence that we could track to help us understand what a decision maker looks like, we looked at AUM controlled, for example, and we know that only 1.6% of AUM is controlled by women and people of color fund managers. So that's one place, right? And this
Bonkers.
is the part, what'd you say?
That's bonkers. Like
It
that's
is bonkers. And it's part of me frustrating because if you start to look at data that's come out in 2025, the number of women and minority owned firms actively raising capital fell 12% in 2025. And that's the first decline on record. So I think there's lots of dynamics happening there based on what I'm seeing, right? Like liquidity is really hard in this moment. It is always, I think, hard to raise as a woman or person of color. I think that's really, really tough. Generally speaking, I think there's some people who are outliers. But I think generally speaking, that's what I hear. The second piece is the percentage of deals that are led by women. So only 12.6% of VC deals are led by women. And by the way, the question we ask ourselves was, okay, so first of all, that's not 18%. That's not the same. But then the second is, well, what's the quality of those deals, right? Are these hot deals? Are they not hot deals? And so that's a nuance that we don't have yet, but that's a question we've asked ourselves. And then the last piece is board seats. So only 11.2% of board seats that are taken by VCs are taken by women. And when those seats are taken, again, the question is, well, what kind of board is it? Is it a great board? Is it something that people are willing to flex on? And this last, actually, the board seats one I want to share that's been interesting is that it's often a hotly debated topic when we have closed door conversations. And the reason why is because it can be a mixed bag. You can get the board seat because somebody else doesn't want to take it,
Yeah.
or you can get the board seat because it's a great
Like,
opportunity and you get a chance to learn. Right. So I think the piece that's important, these last two and other power metrics that we're starting to explore is about the quality of the deal, the quality of the board, and how does that then help you get credit and build credibility inside of ventures so that you can go after other hot deals. People think of you, you have a great brand. So there's some early indications of power and influence that we've looked at around decision makers. And then the last piece I wanted to share with you is that there are only 6 women who have a managing partner seat across 6 firms that manage $1 billion plus in AUM. So there are very few women who are in some of the most powerful seats in the industry right now. And a question we've been asking ourselves is, well, what does the pipeline look like? Who's gonna, what's happening with succession planning in some of these big firms, which women, are on track to take those seats as they become open. But then also, who are the women who are building these firms themselves? Because I think that's the other place that we gain seats in the industry.
so let's move to that side of the
Let's do
industry.
it.
There's a good question here in the questions around like how are you collecting data? I mean, you don't have to like
Yeah,
dig deep, and also like are you going to publish some of it? And apparently the last All Raise data report is from 2024. You guys had
that's
had a
right.
couple of collaborations to get these reports out. So
Yes.
how are you gathering this and how can we help?
Yeah, it's a great question. So We have our annual report that we publish every year, and that annual report looks at the last year. We're in the middle of preparing our 2025, and it's taken us a little longer as we're collecting some more data to dig into places where we're like, ooh, there's a gap in our survey data here. Let's do some interviews. So I'm actually doing that in July. So one thing you can do is if you're interested in sharing your experience, you are a VC, and especially senior women, I would love to chat with you. Senior non-binary folks want to hear from you in VC firms because we can capture that and include that in the annual report. So we collect data in a few ways. Number one is we do our own annual survey. Where we're looking at the state of what's happening for our community and venture. Number two is we supplement that by doing one-on-one interviews where we collect more information. This is all confidential. And then we have started working, pardon me, with partner organizations to collect data from them as well, so that we can both look at what's happening across the industry in aggregate from big LPs, for example, or even smaller LPs who are focused on women and non-binary folks to not only call out like what are the trends that they're seeing, but specific success stories. Because part of our theory of change is we have to continue to hold up, again, the lore, the pantheon of success. And so we've been increasing our relationships with LPs who have this data. And we've talked to our friends at Carta. I think I saw Leslie, you had a great conversation with Peter. Maybe it was
Yeah,
last
there
year
we
at
go.
this point. Peter, so beloved. You didn't match outfits though. So Peter, I'm just going to say Leslie and I are closer than you guys. So I just want to call you back off, Peter Walker. Um, Love Peter Walker, but talking to Carta about their data, talking to Harmonic about their data. So we want to be the best in the industry when it comes to data about women and non-binary VCs, not just who's here, but also their performance. And that part, Leslie, is really hard. So I would say for anybody who's also willing to share their performance data, we would welcome it. I want to acknowledge that sharing your performance data means that sometimes the performance doesn't look great. And that's okay. We understand that funds all go through all four quartiles by the time they get to the end. And we're cheering you on to get to that top quartile. We get it. We get it.
That's very
So and that's, yes, that's how we collect data. That's how we crunch the data. We have an amazing person on our team who worked on the initial Project Diane data set, who is now spearheading our data efforts at Allraise. And with a few other partners, we're working on building that out into a bigger data institute.
And just to confirm, because we have
Yes.
a question here. So women control only 1.6% of AUM and lead only 12.6% of deals.
Women and people of color, so
Yeah.
both, which is maybe more disturbing then because we've added another bucket of folks in there too. Yes, only manage 1.6% of AUM in the US and lead 12.6% of deals.
Holy, oh, great.
Wait, yeah.
Holy shit.
Progress.
All
We
right.
have work to do, don't we?
Not supposed to
We-
swear when I'm recording. Um, swear jar. Okay, so we talked about the title inflation, the
yes,
power and influence inside of bigger firms. What's happening
yes.
in the emerging manager world?
Yeah, so I'm really excited that we're tracking over 300 women-led firms right now, and we've seen this continue to grow year over year. And the reason that's exciting to me again is if you back up and we've asked ourselves like, okay, let's say that we wanted to get to parity. Where are we going to get to parity? We could add seats at some of the big firms. We could also help women raise their own funds and be wildly successful. And so what I'm excited about right now is seeing those women lead. And here's why. There are two things that I want to call out. Number one is this data that you and I talked about, I think recently when I saw you in person, which is we're just leaving value on the table if you do not have gender diversity baked into your business, especially at the decision making level. And there's this really great research that Harvard reported on that says 9.7% more profitable exits are seen by VC firms with at least 10% more women partners. And they also see 1.5% higher returns. So more profitable exits, higher returns. Number two is that we know gender diverse companies, and this is why it's important to have women who are investing in venture because they tend to invest in women, is that 25% gender diverse companies are 25% more likely to outperform their peers. And so if we start to think about the value chain that you can add up, if LPs are investing in more women-led funds and those women are investing in more women, we're starting to unlock market opportunities that otherwise we wouldn't see. So that's the first part. That's the part I get really excited about. And specifically around women's health, which personally I rant about all the time. For such a long time, it was a niche industry, which is so bananas to me. Like, how crazy is it that women's health has been perceived as niche? Okay. First of all, I don't know anybody who goes to doctors more. And my female friends, guys, we are in the doctor, honey. We're in the doctor. We've been in the doctor for a long time. So that's one. But then the second piece of it is there's so much work to do. There's so much across the full spectrum of a woman, a non-binary person's life. There's so much work to do, so much research to do. So I'm excited right now, but the opportunity that the bias has actually created, right? Like there's all this untapped opportunity. So that's one piece of it. But the second, and have you dug into the Calibri Institute white paper earlier this year?
Not until
Okay.
like not until you
Shout out to our
I mean,
friends.
so tell us.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I'm super geeked out. So first, like bigger picture, emerging managers, thanks to our friends at Calibri, we've learned outperform their established peers by 7.2 points of IRR across 2,400 funds. And that's from 2000 to 2024. And then if you focus specifically on women, we know that funds with at least one woman GP deliver equal or better returns despite raising under a disadvantage. And so there is so much opportunity here. It is harder to raise. It's a tough environment. But when you invest in emerging managers and you invest in women, it's a great bet. It's good for business. This is not a nice to have. So that's what I mean by like the mixed story right now, right? It's a tough world out there. And I think tough socially and politically, especially for organizations that are focused on building ecosystems that try to untap this opportunity. But then the second piece of it is the data is great about the opportunity if we keep going.
So what is happening at the LP level, right? Because you have said a couple of times, like it is a really, really hard to
Yes.
raise. I feel like, um, 99 out of 100 people who are fundraising right now will tell you the same. And there's some outliers that just kind of bring their relationships and have all the hype and can do it easily. But basically, everybody else is struggling to raise. Like every other VC fund has, and
Hmm.
some it's like a lot harder than others. So
Yes.
somehow there's both like macro level difficulty fundraising, just
Yes.
like like a hard cycle. But
Yes.
so there's something else going on with like women and emerging managers and like kind of you alluded to like it is harder for you. So why are LPs not kind of like getting the data or getting the memo? Like what's happening at the LP level?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that I'm hearing from LPs when I have conversations who with them is it's just liquidity is tough. Like that's the first thing I always hear from everybody. And Leslie, I feel like we talked about this as well. Like that is the same story across the board. Liquidity is
That's why
tough.
it's hard for everyone because like the LPs have been allocating very aggressively into venture through the kind of
Yes.
2019, 2022 era. And
Yes.
we're in the hangover of that to this date. Now that might ease up,
Yes.
but at
Yes.
large, they're just not deploying.
Yes. Yes. So that's one piece of it. The second piece that I would say, and this is the part that I'm very curious about, is this wealth transfer that's happening right now. And women who are entering the world as LPs because of the wealth transfer, which I'm seeing increasingly, not only from individual women who are talking about it, who are high net worth or ultra high net worth, and their family offices. We were at an event where there was a woman who was like, I want a feminist family office, right? And I want to build out a family office that actually deploys capital to women. This is a conversation happening across family offices in a way that I've not heard it before. And part of it might be because I'm just finally getting to have a chat with these LPs and getting to hear about their changing perspectives. But it's so common now that I hear about women who are like, yeah, I went to my family office and I talked to them about how I want to change things. I've heard women who are like, I dropped the person who was managing my finances because I do want to invest in women as an LP, and they wouldn't even help me figure it out, which is really frustrating because again, they said it was a niche. So to put some data around that, we've been talking about the wealth transfer as part of the Women's Wealth Advisory Council, which is spearheaded by the first partner of California and Catherine Rice out of Gingerbread Capital. And the data that we've been looking at is that $124 trillion is going to change hands between 2024. So it's already happening in 2049. And women are projected to control the majority of it. So that's about $86 trillion. Now, not all of that is going to go into venture for sure, but I do think there's an opportunity to help coach women who traditionally might have just gone the philanthropy route into this world because it's an opportunity again to invest in an asset class that does have an impact on the innovation that goes to market in the private markets and the public markets and the value that we have in the private and the public market. So I'm really hyped about that. And then the second piece is, again, our friends at Colibri shared that female LPs rose from 13% in 2021 to 21% in 2025. And it's really exciting to see not only are they increasing, women as LPs are increasing, but they're also investing in women-led funds. And so the reason I want to call that out is I want to back up for a second and remind you about that focus that we had, which was we want to focus on women and non-binary VCs because we know that we can make an impact on the other side of the table. But part of the reason we wanted to focus is because we can also go up the capital stack to LPs. And I think what's exciting about this moment is to start studying the data about what happens when you invest as an LP in a women-led fund, and then that women-led fund is making investments. What happens across that entire value chain? So that's what I'm seeing right now. I will tell you, every single fund manager I talk to, except for maybe three, has said it's tough out there. And the people who it isn't tough out there for, they've been preparing for their raises for quite some time and trying to keep people warm for as long as possible. And they have some pretty big pools of money that they're going after, but those pools are not accessible to everyone. So that's a little bit about what I'm seeing, Leslie. Let me stop. You know, I could go off forever about this.
Um, well, so we had a number of people in the Luma when they registered for the event. And
Yes,
wanted to kind of double down um, on this idea of like, and I again have a lot of opinions about this and a lot of lived
I love
experience
it.
around it. Um,
Yes.
but how do we get more of that happening, right? Like particularly um women who come into wealth
Yes.
or who build wealth, and how do we get them into the category in like meaningful ways? I like, even as I say this, like I have to like
Yeah.
myself back from telling you all the reasons they're not doing it today.
Yeah.
They're not, like, by and large.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so how do we do that? Like, are there
Yeah.
programs? Are there like
Yeah.
are there stories? Like,
Yeah. I Leslie, actually, it's interesting. You come to mind immediately to me because I think what you leaned into was the power of community and convening. When you built out actually everything you built, Leslie,
oh,
is, and I know that's what you love, right? That lights you up and that makes you
it
happy,
does.
right? But I think the reason why community and convening is so important is because, especially when you're starting something new, um, what I've noticed is that people want to learn together and they want to take risks together. And I think that's actually why angel investing had such a great like bang there for a while, especially around women, because we're in organizations like Pipeline Angels, for example. I pitched Pipeline Angels as one of the first major pitch competitions that I did as a founder. And it was really neat to see how they built a community of angels who were talking to each other. And that mattered a lot to me as a founder as well. But you were learning how to be an angel investor in an environment that was safe and you were supported. There was structure, there were experts to teach you. I actually think that's why Founder Gym was so important. And
Yeah.
I see some Founder Gym grads, hey, y'all, because Founder Gym was an opportunity to learn in community. And so I think with LPs, what I've seen increasingly are folks who are building out communities where people can learn together about how to become an LP and how to be a successful LP. And I want to shout out our friends at Black Women in Venture Capital. They have an LP program that is incredible. And I've heard such good things from women who've gone through that program. And so the more that we can do that, and I've talked to a couple of wealth managers who are also doing that and bringing people in. We're trying to host a few dinners to help people understand the opportunity in a way that feels like I get to learn and ask questions and I don't feel stupid. I think that's the other part too. Like, shouldn't I know this? And it's like, no, this is new. You should. This is why I love being a teacher. It's like, no, you don't know it until you know it. So, like, let's learn it together. And so I agree with you. I think there's a big opportunity there to help people understand. I think you also have to go where people already are. So, for example, are the big family office conferences that I keep hearing about? Like, let's have dinners, workshops, whatever it might be, where people actually get to dig in and ask a lot of questions. I want to call out something. I won't name this person. I can see their face, but because I didn't ask for their permission, they were like, "I'm so tired of the story that women are scared and risk averse. We do our due diligence.
Yeah.
We do our homework."
Yeah. I
And
feel
so
like we're better
you know,
investors. Like that's the other
We're fiscally responsible. We ask a lot of questions. We want to make sure that and so I think, yeah, shout out to BWIVC. They're incredible. But I think that the narrative around learning also needs to shift. This is an opportunity. It's risky. It's still risky, right? Like, I think that's clear. But that if we do it in community, we're learning together and we can surface those learnings together, I think it becomes an opportunity for people.
Um, let's shift gears a little bit because I think that we do have quite a few founders here. So what does this all, and I didn't prep you for this, but I think it is worth chatting about. Um, because like when we talk about like this is all about women who have capital and women who need capital and like women investing in other women. The problem is, um,
I mean, there we go.
yeah, there's like a so two-part question. One is
Yeah.
what does this all mean for founders who are out
Yeah.
and like what do they need? And the second is I think it's worth having a conversation around like um investing in men. Like,
Yes.
right, like do
Yeah.
do we have um do we have an obligation to be only investing in women? Because
Mm.
right, like and do LPs have an obligation? Because like I feel like there's a lot of tension between women founders and women VCs. And it's possible that also on the LP level, right, that like
Yeah.
there's almost an expectation, well, you must invest in my company because I am a woman and like you are one too, and therefore you are the one
Mm.
championing it. But these are investors too, like they're building portfolios. So let's talk about both.
Let's go, founders. Hi, founders. I see you. I feel you deeply.
I
I've been a
envy
founder
you.
probably. We Leslie was like, I envy you guys.
I
Um,
am a founder. Like
you are a founder. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Well, can I also call out one of the biggest surprises to me when I joined Allraise was hearing from incredible people like you, Leslie, who are fund managers. Like, you are a founder. And
100%.
I think people don't understand. And I think as a founder, I definitely didn't understand that, right? That you are a founder as well. You just sit in a different place. Your product is different, right? Your selling is different. Your customers are different. And it's really hard. So I want to back up. There's a conversation that I had the privilege of listening to that brings up this point you just talked about, like the obligation to invest in women. And it was one of those strategy conversations we had. It was in Miami. And this woman said, I just want to tell you, there are no women who ever invest in me. Every woman investor here doesn't invest in me. And this other woman who was in the room was like, hey, I don't know your experience, but let me just share something with you. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean that I always invest in just women. I invest in the thesis that I'm best positioned to invest in. And sometimes that's women and sometimes that's men. And by the way, that's really hard. And then if you're the only inside of your firm, and then everybody just sends you the female founders, it puts you in this position that you're the person who's supposed to invest in. There just aren't enough of us. Let's pause there for a second. There just are not enough women in venture capital to be the ones to invest in all women. So I want to say that. The second thing that I want to say is that as a founder, so if I'm thinking about founder looking for investment, I want to find people who can help my business grow and be successful. And again, the data says diversity is key. So I want to make sure that I have a diverse cap table. I want to make sure that I have diverse advisors, but that are aligned with my strategic objectives. And that doesn't always square up across race and ethnicity, by the way, or gender. And so the question I'm asking is like, what are the skills, knowledge, network, and capital that I need to grow my business? And I need to go find investors who are aligned with that. And sometimes they're women and sometimes they're men. Sometimes they're non-binary folks or people of color. So I would say first and foremost that if you're a founder, I think the job to be done is you've got to find the right capital for your business to grow and scale and be successful in whatever way you imagine it being successful. And then the second piece of it is I think it's important for you to think about having diversity there as well. Having women is great, having men, having people of color, have what your business needs. So I think that's the first part. And I think men are critical to this. And so many men that Leslie, both you and I know are excited to invest in women because they're experts and they want to share their expertise, or they have capital and they believe that they're a great bet. So you definitely don't want to count them out. So let me pause there for a second, Leslie.
I mean, I would add that like as a founder and as a VC, like anybody who is raising capital from someone else, like you don't really want them to invest in you out of a favor. Like you want them to invest in their pockets. Like you don't
100%.
want to be
Yes.
the diversity investment. That's not good for you and
Yeah.
for your business.
No.
So number one. Number two, it's funny because like this is also a conversation that happens in every ecosystem outside of Seattle. Sorry, outside of Silicon Valley, right? Where like we don't have enough capital internally. Like, all right, well, import it, right? So like if men are holding like 87.4% of all like lead checks, then by all means go grab the bag, right? Like go raise from that capital, like be a net importer of capital into the category. And I think that it makes your cap table a lot stronger as well when you have like a mix of investors. I do think that there's a couple of reasons why it is important to pitch women, let women into your cap table, and I think that it is appropriate to have a higher expectation of women. One is if you're targeting if you're targeting women as customers, like it is much more likely that a woman will understand your market and will be helpful in it. So that's number one. And number two, I do think that we have a lived experience that your male VCs are not going to have. So like if I'm like one of the very, very few people I know that has raised capital while being pregnant. And so when all of my founders are like raising capital while pregnant, I'm like, you know what? I got you, girl. Like I know exactly what you're going through. Let's talk about what it means to take maternity leave or, lack thereof, with your first baby. Well,
She said lack thereof. That's real talk.
I mean, yeah, like
100%.
thankfully, like my second kid was easy. And so like it was like 2 weeks of 2 weeks of no meetings.
Two
Okay.
weeks.
Let's shift gears a little bit because we're kind of
Let's do
getting
it.
to the end. And folks, if you have questions for Paige or for me, but really for Paige, put them in the chat. I'm grabbing them and I'm going to come to audience questions in just a minute, but I want to make sure that I hit a couple of things.
Okay.
With Paige. First is, so you've spent some time laying a foundation. And so the
Yeah.
first thing I want to know is what is next for
Yeah.
Alray?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you like my big vision for All Raise is I would love for people to be able to say, All Raise helped me get DPA. Like because of All Raise, I returned my fund. Because of All Raise, I raised funds 1 through 3. Because of All Raise, I made the Midas list, right? Like I want us to be part of someone's journey in a way that allows them to say, we help them do their job better in a tangible way. And that's the bigger vision. So the how we get there, what's next for us is I want us to build out one of the best communities in venture, full stop. We happen to have a majority of women and non-binary folks here, but men are here too. LPs are here too. We just want to be one of the best. That's it. And to me, what that means is that when people come here, they're able to, as I said before, if you missed it, they're able to share deal flow. They're able to co-invest together. They are able to meet high quality LPs and other folks that help them just be better at the job. And so for us, that means, being in a cohort program, if you're a principal plus VC, that means volunteering. If you're an experienced GP, we want you to come and talk with folks who are learning, because that's the only way you get good in this apprenticeship business is you're constantly sharpening your skill set by learning from other people. I think number two for us, I want us to have the best data set in the world. So if a top publication wants to understand what's happening in venture, specifically for women and non-binary folks, they're going to come to us and they're going to ask us about compensation trends because we have an annual compensation survey. So if you're going to negotiate, this is something that we do free of charge. Feel free to email me, paige@allraise.org. I'll send you our comp data and you can use that to go and negotiate. I just had somebody come to us and say, we want to know what the benchmarks are so we can offer the right amount to our team. So both firms and individuals are using that data set. So please reach out to me. Shout out to Richard
I would
Kirby.
say,
We partner with them.
quick
Good,
aside,
Leslie.
that was one of the
Yes,
questions
always.
I had in a DM is
Yes.
what if you have any sense of if there's a pay gap in between female and male VCs today?
Yeah, there is a pay gap. And I'll pull up our annual report from 2024 to tell you what that is really quickly. But yes, is the short answer.
I
I
can
want to
also
say
follow up.
let's follow up. Yeah, there is a pay gap. And this is why we track data that is both pay for women and men and non-binary folks. So we have everybody give us their data so we can look at that and report out in our annual report. I don't know what it is this year yet because we're finishing crunching that data.
But it's
But also
going to be an
performance.
upcoming report.
In the upcoming report, that's right. So that's going to come out late summer for us. Last year, I believe it was July 24th. So it'll be a little bit later this year. So best data set in the industry in partnership with a bunch of our good friends across the LP spectrum. And then the last piece would be our media platform. So you and I talked about this, Leslie. I think that a huge part of what venture looks like is shaped by the narratives that we tell ourselves about who is and who can be successful. And so we are launching a media platform this year. I'm excited to come out with our first podcast. Leslie, we're learning from you in this. You said podcast,
Not a
non-podcast.
podcast.
Your non-podcast podcast.
Not
Um,
podcast, podcast.
non-podcast podcast. But what we want for that platform to be is a place where you can learn about being a great VC. You can hear real inside stories from folks who've done it. The bigger vision here is that we are not just in reaction to the narratives in the industry, but we're also helping to shape it. So excited about what's in development there. And I would say overall for All Raise, I want us to land our 3-year strategy in 2028 with a new Forbes cover, which will celebrate the anniversary of our 2018 Forbes cover with a cover that has a lot more people on it because there's so many more people that on that first cover, thanks to all the hard work that everybody has put into building the All Race community.
So what is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now, and how can this community help?
Yeah, so as an organization, fundraising. So we're fundraising this year, and just thank you to everybody out there who's helped us fundraise. So we're raising $5 million. I'm excited. We've made some really great progress this year. We're at about 1.2 million, and I always love to share transparently because I want people to know, like, we have got some great people who are in. We've got some great people who are excited to be in, but we need everybody's help to help raise this year. So if you're interested in donating, I'll drop a link. You can also donate through your DAF, or you can have your firm donate or your company donate. Happy to chat with any of you here about that. But I think what's important to remember is that while we as a nonprofit have built out some really great sponsorship relationships, there's so much about our work that is going to be nonprofit funded because it is work that only we are uniquely positioned to do and we are only incentivized to do, whether it's the data or the convening or the ecosystem building. So would deeply appreciate any introductions to sponsors or donors. If you want to host a fundraising dinner, as Leslie did for us, thank you, Leslie. And then the second thing I would say is, as I look at our community, what I'm really worried about for them is helping them raise their funds. So funds 1 through 3, that's bucket, and funds 4 through 6. So if you know LPs and you know great fund managers, I would say reach out to them and say, can I introduce you to some people proactively? They need you more than ever right now. So I think about our community members who are there, and then the other folks who are trying to get DPI. And that's anybody across any fund, right? Big fund.
I lost audio. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Okay, you're back. Okay, great. Sorry. All good.
The internet was like,
Um,
enough,
but
enough,
I think it was
enough.
my internet connection that was unstable, but I know that you absolutely killed that answer.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, Leslie.
I have like full trust in you. So some quick questions that
Yeah,
from folks in the audience. So
yes.
one
Let's
is
go.
uh, there's some questions around whether you have any data and
Yeah.
or can folks who are owning an incubator, an accelerator, or a venture studio, can they be a part of the Always community and programs?
Yeah, great question. So, what I would say is if you're one of those people who's trying to figure out how to get involved in programs, you can email me, paige@allrace.org, and I'll point you in the right direction. Happy to do that. And then the second was the first question, which was about the data you said about incubators. Is that right?
Yeah. Like, are we collecting data about all of these different?
It depends. So the way that our data set works, and actually, if you were to look at we have a person level data set. There are some people that aren't in there because they fall into places like pharma, because that investment looks so different from traditional venture. And some accelerators are in, and some accelerators aren't. So the answer is we have a mix in our data set. But I will share that with our wonderful data team so that we can peel some of that out eventually. Great question. Writing
Um,
that down.
if you are like, what advice do you have for women who are either fundraising today or if they are planning to
Yeah.
raise a fund in the next 3 years? Like, how do you prepare any kind of programs that you recommend, any general advice that you might have?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say if you're planning to fundraise in the next 1 to 3 years, let people know now, right now, that you're fundraising, whether you're a founder or you're a GP.
Yeah.
And so the reason why that's important, and I'm thinking about, Leslie, I think I joked with you last time, one of my side quests, side hustle is to connect great GPs to great LPs. And there's a lot of need out there. So if you give people lots of headway, you get a chance to make that introduction so you can build the relationship well before you need to be transactional. We want to help people be relational before they need to be transactional. So, and we're hosting throughout the rest of the year small curated events. We're trying to connect more GPs and LPs to each other. Founder is the same thing. Start talking to people as early as possible. I would also say have a strategy. Like, what is your profile? So, if I'm a GP, what kind of LP do I want? Who works for me? Who doesn't work for me? And be really transparent because the thing that I don't want to do is waste someone's time. I don't want to introduce you to somebody who's going to waste your time and run you around. And by the way, people back channel. So if you are doing that, please stop doing that because it's not good for anybody. I don't encounter those people these days because I'm really careful about that. That the second thing I'd say, if I'm a founder and I'm going back to building out my fundraising strategy, who do I want on my cap table? What are the skills, knowledge, network, capital that I need to be successful? Like Leslie said, like what's the lived experience of the investor that I want to have involved, and start having those conversations now. And if you don't have any VCs in your network, look for local channels where VCs are hanging out or angels are hanging out so you can tap into those. We talked about pipeline angels in Oregon, the Oregon Entrepreneur Network. I sit on the board. I love them. Shout out to one of my board members who's here. Come to some of our events. But look for the places where people are naturally congregating so you can do more of like one to many instead of trying to go meet people one on one, again, because your time is so very critical. And then I would just say, like, keep going. This is really, really hard. You're going to get a bunch of no's, and it's devastating sometimes, but keep going and keep asking for help. And don't do this by yourself. Please don't do it by yourself. It's so much harder. And I just keep going. You got to keep going.
I feel like you're talking directly to me.
I
You're
sometimes
killing me softly.
whatever you
Uh,
want, you take, Leslie.
I know I can talk a lot about that too, but today you're on the
Yes.
spotlight. Um, okay, a lot of different versions of the question, how
Uh-huh.
we get more women executives, more women in high net worth BLPs. Are there programs? Are there like are there reports? Like if you know someone who should be investing, how like what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Don't have a great answer for you right now. Let me follow up with you on that. That is something that we're gathering too. So I'll follow up with you. Thanks for asking.
Okay, wonderful. Um, and then there's an interesting one that came in from the Luma, which is, you talked a little bit about like power and influence that is like
Mhm.
not necessarily measured by like control of AUM. And by the way, this is like my personal strategy is like I feel like I am gonna stay in the microfund world because I believe
Yep.
I'm gonna beat the market by being
Yep.
disciplined, but I can get
Yep.
outsized influence because I'm loud on the internet.
Love.
That's loud
Get
and
loud on the internet.
so how are you going to raise the profile of female VCs? Like what strategies do you have? What are you planning to
Yeah.
do to create more kind of influence among the women that are part of the community?
Yeah, I think there's a front of house, back of house strategy is the
Yeah.
best way I think about it. Like front of house strategy is for the last several years, we've been leveraging our PR resources to help connect GPs with news to news outlets so they can get some shine. Or when a journalist reaches out with a question about a topic, connecting them directly to a GP. And you're not going to see our name in lights around that, which is fine. That's not the point. The point is when you look at the news, how many female experts, how many non-binary experts do you see in the article? And that's been awesome. And shout out to our PR person, Jen, and our incredible teammate, Elise, who's been working on that this year. And then Dana, who really spearheaded that over the last couple of years with Jen. So I think that's the first piece of it. The second piece, though, is that's why building our own platform is so important and positioning us as just a great VC platform so we can help people show off their expertise. So, for example, I've just been thinking about how do we help elevate the lessons of the people in the Midas list who are in the all race community, which is, by the way, a mix of men and women, bringing them together. What are the things you were learning? Like, how did you get on that Midas list? What happened? And partnering with Forbes. Ian, I haven't said this to you yet. So Ian's like, girl, what are you talking about? Ian, sorry. It's an idea I have right now. But I think it's really key to think about where the places that social proof already exists and how can we apply that to the people who are in our community. But then also for so many people who have the chops but aren't getting the platform, how do we help give them the platform so people see them, they're rocking it? Because there's a lot of people who are just doing the job really well but aren't talking publicly. And I think we have an opportunity to really shine a light on them.
Paige, it has been an absolute pleasure. So two more things before I let everybody go. First
I have
is,
a question for you. Go ahead.
okay, all right, well, you can ask me after. So first is,
All right.
how can folks get in touch with you? There's several folks
Great.
in the audience who would like to contribute data. So
Yes. Great.
where do we send them to? And by the way, everybody,
Yeah.
we'll include this in a follow-up email to all of you.
Great.
We'll put this recording up in our YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera. So you're not
Uh,
going to miss it if you don't write it down, okay?
That's right. That's right. So email me at paige@allraise.org. I will send you the right person. That is the simplest, easiest thing. I got you. The data team, I will forward you onto the data team. If you're interested in getting involved in programs, I'll get you to the right people. So do that. That way there's one channel in. So,
Okay,
yeah.
but even as you say that, I would just like to
Yeah.
say on Paige's behalf, if you're going to email her, please donate to Always Before. Because, like, you are just
Oh,
the
that's,
most generous person I know. And, like, don't be a taker, be a giver, everybody. Okay. Thank you.
thanks,
No,
Leslie.
I'm just like, every time we chat and you just like offer your
I
email to
know.
people, I'm like,
She said
no,
it's a bare
man,
naked
like,
outfit.
I know how busy you are. Like, let's tamper down
She's like,
okay. I'm just hyping you
and
up.
Kate, and my EA Kate is here too. She's like, give them my email
Yeah,
too.
she's like,
It's Kate
stop,
at
stop.
allraise.org. Yeah, stop. Sorry, Kate. Sorry, Kate. Apologies to Kate in advance.
Amazing. Okay, and then the last thing is, thank you so much, Ruby, for joining us. I know,
Yeah, yeah.
Paige, you have a question for me. Sorry.
I have a question for you.
Okay,
Leslie,
what's your
you
question?
are one of the most helpful, thoughtful, brilliant, kind, compassionate, fashionable, okay, people I've ever met. What can we do to help you? What do you need?
Oh my God, I don't have a ready-made answer, but yeah, just
It's
like
okay.
show up
Make
to
one up.
conversation, send me like interesting people that I should talk to. The best founders, I want to know the best founders that you all know. And the best LPs as well. I was just about to say to close this out, over the next few weeks, my fireside chats are going to be with my own LPs. So I'm going to be demystifying some of what happens to an LP. And hopefully, not I should not say this because I don't want to put my LPs on the spot, but like hopefully they can help other emerging managers get off the ground. And also my
Great.
LPs tend to be kind of CEOs, public company executive types, and like exited founders. So they're pretty prominent people. I'm very excited to shine a light a little bit, turn on a light in the dark room of what happens when you raise your own fund. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Oh, I see some questions in the chat too. People are like, what are your check size? What's an LP check size? Okay,
I can't say
Leslie,
that
come
because
on in the chat.
this is all going in like public channels, but I can say all of that over email, I guess is all I would say. But
She
I
says all
can't
of that
talk
over.
about my fund because this is going out in the internet.
Otherwise, I would be asking a million questions about your fund,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
we respect the rules.
Yeah.
Leslie, thank you for having me, and thanks everybody for being here, and thanks to the people on camera. Your faces have really helped. It's good to see your
See
faces
you
on
all.
camera.
Bye, everybody. See you next month.
Good to see you. Bye, everyone.